The scorching sun poured fire over the vast fields, turning each blade of dry grass into a sharpened knife glinting in the wind. Yet the heat of nature was nothing compared to the heavy atmosphere enveloping Caleb Hayes' small farm. Silence stretched across the land, broken only by the monotonous drone of cicadas, a background score to the confrontation about to unfold. In the distance, the roar of engines shattered the fragile peace of the countryside. The president's armored convoy rumbled down the dusty road, carrying not just a man of power, but also a storm of controversy. Donald Trump. His presence did more than stir curiosity among the locals. It was like a spark igniting the embers smoldering within Caleb's soul. Standing on his porch, his calloused hands clenched at the edge of his overalls, Caleb watched the approaching vehicles with an expression that was neither reverent nor hostile, but the gaze of a man who had heard too many promises, lived through too many disappointments, and now believed in only one thing: truth. Trump stepped out, his confident smile as unmistakable as his signature. But today, in the midst of endless fields and the unsettled dust of an era, he wasn't just facing a farmer. He was facing a man who bowed to no one, not even a president. This was not a diplomatic visit, nor a campaign stop. This was a silent war, where honesty would clash with authority, where fragile hope would fight against a deep-seated cynicism buried in the land. A confrontation where, regardless of who won, the truth would leave an indelible mark. Caleb Hayes stood before Donald Trump, his eyes burning with an unquenchable fire, his voice cutting through the tense air like thunder. Mr. President, don't tell me you're here to listen. If all you're going to do is give a speech, we farmers are dying. Crop prices have collapsed. Costs are crushing us. And corporations are snatching up land like wolves hunting prey. You brag about doing so much for us, then why am I still selling my blood to pay off debt? Do you have an answer or just more empty promises? Trump folded his arms, his eyes narrowing like a fighter ready to counter, his voice sharp as a blade. Caleb, I don't appreciate being attacked like this. I've cut taxes, negotiated tough trade deals with China, opened up markets. What do you want? Me to stuff money straight into your pocket. Change doesn't happen overnight. Inside, a surge of frustration built within him. He wasn't used to being challenged this directly, but somewhere in the back of his mind, a small part of him wavered at the intensity of Caleb's conviction. Caleb slammed his hand on the table, the sound cracking through the air like a gunshot, his voice roaring. Change? Don't feed me that cheap excuse. Our land is drying up, our children are starving, and you tell us to wait? We don't have time for your political games. What good is a tax cut when the banks are choking us? What trade deals when corporations swallow all the profits? This isn't economics, this is survival, and you're letting us die. Trump fired back, his voice like a hammer striking an anvil. I've done more than anyone before me. You think I don't know? This is a free market. The strong survive, the weak perish. I can't hold every farmer's hand and lift them up. For a fleeting moment, a crack appeared in his confidence. Was the system he had always defended truly as fair as he believed? Caleb leaned in, his gaze like a blade slicing through the pretense, his voice cold and razor sharp. A free market? Don't insult us with that hollow theory. This isn't freedom. It's a machine designed to grind down the weak, to feed the strong. Corporations manipulate prices, banks turn us into debt slaves, and you call that fair? You boast about trade, but who profits? Us, or the giants sitting in air-conditioned offices? He paused, his voice dropping to a near whisper, a final indictment. Can you look me in the eye and tell me this system wasn't built to destroy us? Trump's fists clenched, his voice booming like a storm breaking over the horizon. You think I'm blind? You think I don't see? I punched China in the face. I brought back deals for American farmers. But I'm not God. I can't flip the entire world upside down in a day. And for the first time, beneath all his defiance, a deeper crack formed in him. The clash between his pride and the undeniable reality Caleb had thrown in his face. Caleb did not back down, his voice cracking like a whip. The world? I don't need you to fix the whole world. I need you to fix the rotten system right in front of you. You hit China, but American corporations are squeezing us from the inside. You want freedom, fine. But when freedom turns into a noose around the necks of farmers, that's not competition, that's slavery. You say you're not God, but you are the president. So why are we still kneeling under the boots of the giants? Trump slammed his hand on the table, facing Caleb head on, his voice ringing like a death sentence. I've signed dozens of policies. I've fought the whole world to protect farmers. What do you want me to tear down the entire economic system? This is reality, not a fairy tale. But deep inside him, a question clawed at his mind. Am I missing something bigger? Caleb shot to his feet, pointing straight at Trump, his voice delivering judgment. Reality? Your reality's numbers on paper. Mine is hungry children and stolen land. Your policies mean nothing if they don't reach us. You want reality? Here it is. America lives off our sweat, yet we are starving to feed the corporations. You say this isn't a fairy tale? You're right, because in fairy tales, the weak still have a chance. But us? We are doomed from the start. Trump fell silent for a second, a rare and dangerous pause. Then his voice dropped, sharp as a blade. What do you want, Caleb? Say it straight. No circling around. Caleb locked eyes with him, his voice slow but hammer heavy. I want you to tear down a system that only protects the rich. I want laws that stop corporations from manipulating prices. I want banks to stop hunting us like prey. I want you to understand that if farmers collapse, America will starve, not just on a report, but on every family's dinner table. I am not begging for charity. I am demanding justice. Trump leaned in, his voice cold but carrying a hint of contemplation. Justice? You think I haven't tried? I've fought every enemy outside, but inside, this system isn't easy to break. Caleb cut him off, relentless. Not easy? Then make it easy. You are the most powerful man in America. If you can't break it, then who can? Don't tell me you tried. Trying without results is the same as doing nothing. We don't need effort, we need survival. Lisa stepped in, her voice like a dagger piercing through. Mr. President, you eat this cornbread, but do you know we sell it for a price that can't even buy milk for our children? Justice is not a pretty word, it's what keeps us alive. Trump looked at her, then back at Caleb, his voice low but sharp. I don't make empty promises, but change like this takes time. Caleb roared back, time is what you have. We don't. Every day you delay, another farmer loses their land. Another family falls apart. You want action? Act now. Don't let us become sacrifices for your so-called free market. Trump stood up, locking eyes with Caleb, his voice like a declaration of war. Fine. I'll look into it, but don't think I fear you. I do this for America, not just for you. Caleb met his gaze unwavering. If America is us, the backbone of this nation, then do it for us. Don't just look into it, act, prove that you're more than just words. Trump extended his hand, his voice ice cold. I won't forget this. Caleb shook it, his voice a final warning. Good, because if you do, we won't forgive you. The field still stood, dry yet unyielding, like the very people fighting to hold on to them. And as Trump's convoy disappeared into the red dust, a question hung in the air. Would power bow to truth, or would truth have to be paid for in blood? The field stretched on, silent witnesses to history. Dust still lingered in the air long after Trump's convoy had rolled away, but the echoes of the confrontation refused to fade. The clash between a farmer and a president was never just a personal battle. It was a reflection of a harsh reality faced by millions. Caleb Hayes did not win, and Trump did not lose. Because in the war between power and truth, victory could never be measured by a handshake or a promise. But the bigger question remained, would power truly listen, or was this just another stop on a political journey? Could truth force those in power to act, or would it continue to be buried beneath the dust of time? As writer Upton Sinclair once said, it is difficult to get a man to understand something when his salary depends on his not understanding it. And what about you? Do you believe a single voice can shake an entire system? Or do you think power alone determines everything? This story isn't over. Stay tuned for the next chapter, where ordinary people continue their fight to reclaim their voice. We will meet again.